Remis, welcome back to the channel for the post-match analysis video of the Espanyol game. As I mentioned in the matchday vlog video that we released a couple of hours ago, if you want to check that out, the link will be in the description. I highly recommend. I definitely think it was the team's best performance of the season so far. So we are going to break all of that down, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Now, Remis, as you can see on the screen here, this is the starting 11 that I wanted to see out of Ancelotti for yesterday's game. And I was very happy because the front three that I wanted to see was the front three that started the game. Now, this is the starting lineup that I wanted to see from Ancelotti, but I did find it a little bit hard to believe that he was going to be benching Vinicius. So this was my starting prediction for yesterday's game. And if you watched the video, I did talk about the fact that I would see Fede Valverde playing as CDM because I could totally see Tchouaméni replacing one of the center backs. Now, in the video, I did mention that I thought it was going to be Militao that was going to be subbed out for Tchouaméni, and it was indeed Rudiger. But because of how Ancelotti has a tendency to not really rotate the starting 11, I was very pleased with my predictions for the match. But enough of that. As you can see on the screen, this is the starting 11 that started yesterday's game, and I am going to break down every single player's individual performance just to give them a rating and see how they fared out during the match. Now we have to start with the keeper, Thibaut Courtois. I do think that because of his performance against Stuttgart midweek, in which he was the best player on the field, he was the man of the match. He kept us in the game the entire time. I do think that because of that, I think I have a really bad impression of his performance yesterday. Don't get me wrong, he was solid, but for his standards, I don't think that he was able to produce what he usually produces. And Espanyol's goal was indeed a Courtois own goal, which I do think he was a little bit unfortunate because Arda Güler did touch the ball very lightly. But in comparison to the Stuttgart game midweek, he did not really have much to do. Espanyol's chances really only came from a half-field shot at the end of the first half and maybe like 2 or 3 at the very beginning of the second. But listen, I'm going to give Courtois a 6 out of 10. I do think that I might be a little bit harsh on him in that regard just because of the impression that I still have off of the midweek game. But when you take into account the own goal and the fact that he didn't really do much, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Now let's start with the defense. One of my favorite Real Madrid players, Carvajal. I do think that he played a very solid game. He did score the goal that tied the match. He was at the right place, right time, even though he was a little bit lucky, and Jude Bellingham deserves all the credit in the world for that play. Again, he was at the right place, right time, and that's something that's very important when you're playing inside the box. And guys, he's a right back, and since the start of last season, he's been scoring a lot of goals. Since the start of last season, he's been very consistent. I do think he's a very genuine candidate to win the Ballon d'Or based off of everything he's achieved, everything he's left on the field, everything he's won. And his consistency since the start of last season is something that's very good for him because he was always criticized for being inconsistent. But I'm going to give our very own Bulldog a 7 out of 10 for yesterday's performance. Now, Militao was also very solid. I do think that defensively speaking, the entire defense didn't really have much to do, just like Courtois. So I can't really judge him based off of that. The first chance that Real Madrid had in the game, though, Militao anticipated the ball very well, and he was indeed fouled, but he decided to continue to play, which to me was fine, but it was the decision that he made afterwards that was the big mistake. Because again, with the contact that he received, he could have just fell to the floor. It would have been a penalty, but he made a really good play, and had he taken a shot, he probably would have scored because he was at a really good angle. But instead, he decided to square it to Mbappe, and that was just the worst decision you could have made there because, well, nothing happened. But nonetheless, Militao was again very solid. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Now, Tchouaméni, I was really happy to see him play center back because I do think that based off of his skill set, that is his best position. He did make one mistake at the very beginning of the match, but aside from that, he was very solid. There was nothing that he can really, do. And later on in the match, when Rudiger replaced Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni moved back to his natural CDM position, and he played very well. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. He was solid. Now, Fran Garcia, this guy had an incredible match. Again, defensively, there wasn't much that he had to do, but offensively, he played his best game in a Real Madrid shirt. He wasn't even recovering the ball very well, the way that he was linking up with his teammates, and the shot that he took from outside of the box was a ripper. Since I started doing these analysis videos for the channel, I have been very vocal about the fact that Fran Garcia has been very solid this season, and I am a big fan of him. So I was very pleased to see his performance yesterday. I think that he was more than solid. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. And on to the midfield. Let's start with yesterday's CDM, Don Federico Alcon Valverde. Honestly, I don't really have anything to say about this guy. I do think he is the team's best player by far. And even in games like yesterday or the Champions League game that we had midweek, he didn't really shine that much. But what he does behind the scenes that goes unnoticed is just incredible. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Now, Don Luka Modric. Man, I am soaking up every single second of playtime that he gets because I'm pretty sure we're all convinced that this is his last season at the club and we just have to enjoy the magician for as long as we can have him. Yesterday, he had a really solid game. The link-up play of the team moved through him and Jude Bellingham. You can kind of tell that there's a little bit of a connection between him and Arda Güler, which we will get to in a second. But I'm going to give our little magician a 7 out of 10. Now, Jude Bellingham was magisterial as always. It brings me personally a lot of joy to see him play in a team. I do think that he might be my favorite Real Madrid player. And something that I really like from this game is the fact that the Fantastic Four, Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr, and Rodrigo, their chemistry is getting better and better. And like I said earlier, the first goal of the match that Carvajal scored was definitely his doing. I think that he deserves to get an assist for that. I don't know if he will. Which, by the way, way, I do have to give credit to Joan Garcia, who was Espanyol's keeper yesterday. In the first half, he was by far the best player in the field. He kept the team in the game, but he was at fault for the first goal that Real Madrid scored because it went straight through his legs and Carvajal just had it right there for an open goal. But anyways, for Jude, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I am very anxious to see him score, especially after all the goals that he scored last season. But hey, it's his second game back after a month-long injury. Now, Arda Güler. I think he was Real Madrid's best player in the first half. He was creating so many chances. He was super dangerous. The link-up play between him and Modric and literally everybody else was just incredible. Real Madrid's second chance of the match was a really good link-up play between himself and Mbappe. And Mbappe was really close to scoring that, but again, Joan Garcia made a really good save. And as soon as Espanyol scored their goal in the second half, I wasn't very happy to see that they took out Arda Güler for Vinicius. But listen, I was proven wrong. We'll get to that in a second. I do wish Arda would have played more, but I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 because he absolutely balled out. Now, Rodrigo, we have to talk about Rodrigo. He is absolutely killing it out there, and I do think that this might be the best form that he's been in his entire Real Madrid career. I do love to see it. He was awarded the man of the match. He scored the winner. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 because he absolutely killed it out there. Now, Mbappe, dangerous as always. He's always creating chances. I was really glad to see that he was the one that got the penalty at the end of the game because Vinicius Jr. did indeed score, which, by the way, was assisted by Kylian Mbappe. And to all those people that have been saying that Mbappe and Vinicius cannot play together, you just wait and see. But yeah, goal and an assist for Kylian Mbappe. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Now, the subs, Lucas Vázquez, I can't really say anything about his performance because, I mean, again, Espanyol didn't really do much offensively, and I didn't really see him involved in the game like that. So I'm just going to give him a 6 out of 10. He did his job. He was solid. And I'm going to go for the same rating for Antonio Rudiger because, again, they were brought on late in the game. They didn't really bring much to the table. And Driki. Now, this guy is an absolute tank. I'm really encouraged by the fact that he's getting a lot of playtime. Ancelotti did say in his pre-match press conference that he really liked Endrick because of his humility and his willingness to put in the work. And one of the things that I did learn about yesterday's game is the fact that he can absolutely play in the right wing position. The kid is an absolute baller in the play in which he saved the ball from going out of bounds and then going ahead and earning a penalty for the team. And by the way, I was indeed checking out the X app, which was formerly known as Twitter. And Barca fans are crying and crying as to how that could have been given as a penalty. Now, I will say I did have my doubts as to why it was given as a penalty because I always believed that the rule was that if the foul begins outside of the box, then that's where it should be called. But because of what happened, I did a lot of research on the matter, on the rule. And as you can see here on the screen, stated by La Vanguardia, aunque el agarrón se produzca fuera del área, si persiste en el interior es penalti. In other words, if a defender starts holding an attacker's shirt from outside of the box and he continues to do so all the way to the inside of the box, the rule clearly states that it should be given as a penalty. Which, by the way, I gotta give it to Endrick. That was a 100 IQ play. Which, hey, I gotta give it to him because I wasn't even very vocal about the fact that he made the absolute worst decision when he took the shot against Stuttgart. But he scored, so clearly it wasn't the worst decision. But with that play and this play altogether, it just goes to show that Endrick is a really smart player. And guys, if Kylian Mbappe stays at Real Madrid for the same amount of time that Cristiano Ronaldo did, in other words, for the next 9 seasons, Endrick is going to be 25 by the time he leaves. So guys, the team's future is absolutely secure. Florentino Perez is an absolute beast. And I'm really glad to have Endrick on the team. Even though he didn't really play much, I think he deserves a 7 out of 10 rating. And last but not least, Vinicius Jr. Now, I saved this for last specifically because this is a player that we really do need to talk about. I have expressed my frustration with him over the last couple of games multiple times. And yesterday when Vinicius came in and they took out Arda Güler, I wasn't very happy because Arda Güler was playing a hell of a game and I didn't think that was a sub that Real Madrid needed. But Vinicius was everything that Real Madrid needed yesterday. He was energetic, he was quick, he was accurate, he scored his goal, and the assist that he gave to Rodrigo was an absolute masterclass. It really reminded me of Rodrigo's goal against Chelsea in the 2022 Champions League quarterfinals. And again, the chemistry with the team with Mbappe up top is getting better and better. So this makes me feel a lot better about Vinicius moving forward. Rodrigo did get man of the match because he was indeed really good, but I think that because of the impact that Vinicius had in the game, he also deserves to be up there with him. So I'm going to give Vinny a 9 out of 10. With that being said, Remis, this is what the La Liga table is currently looking like. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid are yet to play, but I really do like the improvement that I've seen from the team thus far. And hey, Barca are indeed playing very well, but we are keeping the pressure on them. If they win their next match, they will be 4 points clear at the top. And if Atletico Madrid win their next match, they're also going to be tied with Real Madrid. But I can sense the spicy title race boiling. We do have the derby next week, Sunday, at the Estadio Metropolitano, which we are trying to get tickets for so that we can bring you guys a match day vlog. And we do have El Clásico next month, so there is a lot to look forward to. But yeah, that means if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the thumbs up button. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of the team? What did you think of the game? I really do want to know. Go subscribe to our channel. Go follow us on TikTok, on Instagram. We have a lot of good content over there. And with that being said, that means I will catch you guys next time. Peace.